Randy Scritchfield has been in the financial services business for over 36 years and founded his own firm to reflect his personal philosophies about the delivery of financial services to the public. As an active leader in our industry and his community, he is a 33-year MDRT member with 3 Court of the Table and 16 Top of the Table honors. An active member of the MDRT Foundation, Randy currently serves as a board member and is a Platinum Knight of the MDRT Foundation. Randy joined Securities America in May of 2015 and has been a Masters Forum qualifier since the beginning. Randy and his wife, Kathy, reside in Damascus, Maryland. They have 6 children and 9 grandchildren. Please welcome a great advocate for Securities America and the advisor who lights up a room with his smile, Randy Scritchfield. I'd
like to ask you to close your eyes for a moment, please. Now, without opening your eyes, and just say to yourself, not out loud, do you know how many doorways are to the right of you in this room? It might be important to know if there was an emergency and you needed to get out. How about this? How many people are between you and the aisle, the nearest aisle? If you're sitting on the aisle without opening your eyes, how many rows between you and the back of the room? That could become important if there was something happening in the front of the room here and you had to escape. You can open your eyes. That exercise was a way to relate to something that aircraft pilots have to be very familiar with, VFR and IFR. VFR is visual flight rules, IFR is instrument flight rules. Visual flight rules are how most pilots fly most of the time, following a tree line, aiming for the sun heading east, and indeed it's how many of us have built our practices, following our visions and our passions. But instrument flight rules are sometimes important. Instrument flight rules are what you would have used with your eyes closed in answering some of those questions I posed. Some of you may be familiar with John Kennedy Jr. In my generation, we knew him as John John. He was upside down in his aircraft in a storm. He not only didn't know what his situation was, but he didn't know what to do about it because he was not instrument flight rated. How about Captain Sully, the Miracle on the Hudson? Sully went totally visual, and in doing so, he saved 155 lives. So it's important to be self-aware as advisors. What type of aircraft pilot are you in your practice? Most of us have built very significant practices going visual, but it's helpful, I would suggest often mandatory, to have some type of IFR system. Early in my career, I developed such a system, which I call my 3 M's, and I'd like to share that with you. The M's stand for measure weekly, monitor monthly, and manage quarterly. Measure weekly. What should you be measuring weekly? I suggest only activity. Activity is the only thing that we can truly control, and only measure it weekly. That's the only thing you should be striving for. One of the most important things that we do as independent advisors is protect our self-confidence. And if you beat yourself up too much for results, it doesn't serve us well. So the only thing you should be focused on is what your activity that you're doing on a weekly basis. What activity that is, of course, is a function of your stage in the market, your stage in the industry, and what your marketplace is. But just focus on activity. Now, we don't ignore production, but we only look at it once a month. Monitor monthly is when we look at our production. That's when we look at our results. We measure it against our goals and objectives, different product lines, service lines. This is sort of a psychological way of working at our business. So measure weekly activity, monitor monthly results. Now comes the challenging part. Manage quarterly. Only once a quarter should you reconsider what you're doing. Once a quarter is when you look at not only what you're doing, but how you're doing it and why you're doing it. And this is ideally done with someone else, be it a business manager, coach, mentor, or someone else, even a spouse, particularly if they're in the business with you. Only once a quarter should you reconsider what we're doing. It's as big a mistake to reconsider what we do on a daily and weekly basis as it is to have no strategic planning at all. I worked with a coach for a long time, and he said that as advisors, we are very much at risk of working too much in the business rather than on the business. My managed quarterly system ensures that I work on the business at least 4 times a year. Time management is often more about management than time. We get hung up sometimes on measuring our time and logging what we're doing, but time management is more about management than time. My 3M system is the way I've managed myself, but it was specialization that really helped me build my business. I have a graphic to share with you on that. When we start out in the business, we offer products and services, all kinds of, just about anything we're licensed to do. And who do we offer it to? Just about anyone we meet. That's okay. It's how we start out in the business. When we started out, we sometimes referred to this as total need selling. Does anyone in the room here remember doing total need selling? You remember that? You know what that was? That's when we totally needed to sell something. That's okay. That's how we start out. But the key to building a good practice is to specialize. And step 1 on that is to narrow your product and services line a little bit, but really narrow your clients and prospects. Really get focused on who you're going to work with. That will bring you a lot of benefits. The other is the flip side with the triangle. Narrow your product and service, but offer it to almost everyone. I've worked with someone like this for over 15 years. He does long-term care insurance, and that's all he does. And just about everyone is a prospect for him. I started working with him, and something interesting happened. I eliminated long-term care insurance from my product line by working with him. You know what happened? I started helping more people with long-term care insurance. That's right. When I stopped selling long-term care insurance is when I started selling more long-term care insurance by collaborating with a specialist. My last example is a little extreme and something that some of us may want to strive for, a very narrow product line to a very narrow target market. Not for everyone necessarily, but it may have application for people in the room. Regarding specialization, I have a test for you to do with your marketing materials. Look at your marketing materials, your brochures, your website. Do they convey your specialty? Do they convey what you're really doing and who you want to work with? Here's a test. If they truly convey who you want to work with in your specialty, they should be turning some people off. That's right. Some people should be looking at your website and your materials and saying, you're not right for me. I really shouldn't work with him or her. If your materials are strong enough to turn the right people on, they should be turning some people off. So I hope you found my way of looking at things a little differently helping. Consider and ask yourself, how are you flying in your practice? Are you visual all the time? Or do you have any IFR systems that you use? On the contrary, are you a little too IFR? Are you thinking about stuff too much? Are you not letting loose enough and just flying and following your passion and your vision? Take a look at how you're doing that and what you're doing with your practice. What are your systems? The theme of our conference this week is money, health, and meaning. We take a lot of great pride, and the people in this room are very good at helping our clients with their money. And in doing so, it helps them with their health. And that helps them, hopefully, derive significant meaning in their life for them and their families. But let's not forget about ourselves as well. I'd like to ask you to close your eyes again for another exercise. And apologies to anyone that this might hit too close to home, but please close your eyes. Now, I'd like you to imagine that you only have 6 months to live. You have your health and your physical capabilities. You have adequate financial resources. But you only have 6 months to live. Keep your eyes closed and think about What are you doing? Who are you spending your time with? What are you doing in the last 6 months of your life? Are you picturing that? Are you experiencing it? Now, one final question. What's keeping you from doing that now? What's keeping you from doing that now? We have a wonderful opportunity in this business to contribute so much to our clients' lives, security, and personal meaning. Don't take that for granted, but don't miss the opportunity to do what you can do in your lives for yourself and your loved ones. Make your life more meaningful. We have a great opportunity in this business. As independent advisors, we can be personally independent as well. I hope that you have found the systems I offer to be perhaps helpful to look at your business, but more importantly, perhaps, to help you make your life more meaningful. Thank you.